righty.
Hey, Derek.
Everything looks good, Ray.
Hey,
you hear me okay? No problem.
I don't want a clown to get off.
Oh, man. Okay, no problem. Well,
I need that clown to stay inside.
Okay, yeah, don't let the clown out of the closet. Well, hey, welcome to an episode of Who You're Up Against, which is just simply a video series that's getting to know arm wrestlers a little bit. And I know we've all seen you, particularly your arm, talk a lot. And so maybe we'll get to know you a little bit better here. So if you don't mind, I'll just start out with what's your name, your age, where you're from, and what weight class you normally arm wrestle.
So my name is Raimonds Liepins. I'm from Latvia. Most people know me as Coach Ray. I usually arm wrestle in 85 kilo class. That will be 189 pounds, something like that. But I used to be a lot smaller. Then I got these 3 chins, and I kind of let myself go. Turns out I'm stronger here than I was when I was lighter. So I'm just like, okay, I'll keep that dad bod and just keep arm wrestling here.
Good. Can you tell us a little bit about what it was like your first time ever arm wrestling? We'll say on a professional table in a setting kind of like that.
Ooh, give me a second. I have some interference. Okay, good. So first time, I think it was school competition. First time I saw a real arm wrestling table. And that's funny enough, that's the same gym I train now. So that's the gym I own now. That's the school I went to, and that's where I first saw an arm wrestling table. And there was some guys that already was what we would consider pro level here in Latvia. And I remember I arm wrestled with them and just felt like, okay, like this is ridiculous. Some of these guys are just so ridiculously strong. I think on first year, like after I trained for a month or something, I think I got a few pins, and then I kind of liked it, but I liked all the strength training, and I was just doing it, and we had fun on table as well, and we arm wrestled, but it wasn't like anything serious like for last. Then 3-4 years later, it became way more serious because I was like, okay, I'm pretty damn good at this, you know, yeah, at some point I dominated, I would say dominated like 70 kilo class here in Latvia. And that was like 2009, 10, you know, every competition I went to, I was either first or second. And then slowly it went to, you know, where it is right now. Yeah.
And so as it sits right now, how much experience or how long have you been arm wrestling?
So the first time on table was 16 years ago.
Okay, 16 years. Wow.
Yeah, I'm 32. I forgot to say that.
Oh,
yeah, I'm
sorry.
32 years old. Yeah. But I would say serious for 11 years. For 11 years. Yeah, maybe 12, because 2010, that's where I started like going to competitions. 2011 is when I started coaching. So there was a big transition for me, just from competing to fully coaching, and and then 3 years later, I was 2 years later, I was vice president of Latvian Arm-wrestling Federation.
Wow.
A year later, I was the president. So, and that's how it's been since then.
So now you're the president of the Latvian Arm-wrestling Federation. That's amazing. That's great. And so throughout your career, would you say that you can think of anybody who's been your greatest rival? Who would you say that is? Just maybe somebody who feels like year after year they were always there, or just something like that?
Somehow I can get, like, there's a lot of guys in Latvia, you pull and they're in the same class, and some of those guys just can beat you and there's kind of hierarchy in every weight class.
Right.
This guy, these guys in this weight class, these guys in that weight class. So yeah, like it's been few of those guys, but it's I kind of overgrown them, and I gotten better, where at some point like Giannis is lower weight class, Vlad is lower weight class, Raimonds has been in my weight class. No, not really. Like I was a little lower weight class when Raimonds was. really active. So now he might be my biggest rival here. And there's some other guys like in Latvia that are, like we have this guy Toms Rozīts. If you can beat him, you're ridiculously strong. He's 85, 90 kilos, somewhere that weight class. So there's a lot of those guys, but not real rivals. There was at the start there was some guys that I remember I kept losing to this one guy, and I just come back home. It's like 11 p.m. I was like, okay, where is my kettlebell and belt? And I was just praying, because I was like, I have to beat this guy. And a few years later, I beat that guy. The guy that brought me into this sport, I beat him like 4 years later. And I think I haven't lost since. And the guy that was on table when I first saw arm wrestling, who was the junior wise European champion, I think Oscars, he's like was my biggest influence. And I beat him in super match like 4 years ago, something like that. And you kind of overgrow those if you're being consistent, and but it's motivation for everyone, or them as well. So
absolutely. And so I'm going to follow up with the opposite question, which is, throughout your arm wrestling career, who do you think has been your greatest asset? So I'm over here getting my friend moved into his house, helping him, and hopped on his computer. That's why there's some people walking. So sorry about that.
It's no problem. It's no problem.
But anyways, who your greatest arm wrestling or asset? Somebody who's just been in your corner or advised you or set a good example. Who would you say that person is?
Giannis. It's definitely Giannis. I don't know what, like, the whole reason I am into arm wrestling this deep is because so one of my best friends, Rudolph's, got me into the sport, and he was like really good. He was a 70, 60, 65 kilo puller, and he was the top of the crop. And he brought me to some competitions, and we usually were in the same class, but my left was way better than his. And we had a award goes for the sum of both arms. So if you're first and you're 8, it's 9 points. And usually I was like first or second with left and top 3 with right. And I kind of kept beating him. And I was like, okay, I keep getting there. He got me pretty far, but Giannis was like after I finished my high school, I took a year off. And I competed a lot in arm wrestling, powerlifting, arm wrestling, like pretty much every weekend I was in some kind of competition. I don't know where Giannis saw me, where he got my number, but he called me one day. He's like, do you want to go to competition in Sweden? And after that, we went back, and he's like, do you want to work as an arm wrestling coach? I don't know what he saw in me, but we've been on a same wavelength since. It's been, and then like I started the channel 2017, something like that. And like few months later, I was like, Giannis, you have to join me for this. And it's been a journey together. We're I think we are both are same clever. We like smart things. So we like solving puzzles in arm wrestling sense, like with the body. So we always click on those things. We are both psychopaths in the gym. You cannot get us out. Like Giannis was on some vacations, and then he came back on Wednesday, which was my gym training session, and he was there for 4 hours. I'm like, you got too excited. He's like, I got too excited. You just cannot get him out. So and Giannis has always been there, and he's biggest influence in arm wrestling for me, without a doubt. Of course, there's my team, my guys that support me without anything, but Giannis has a special place and forever will be.
Well, I'm sure that he will probably crack a smile hearing you say all that, and it is incredible. He's the Jedi, so that should tell you everything you need to know about. Just earning that nickname would tell you about his table IQ and tell you about his ability to switch things up, or to try different angles, or find a weakness, or whatever you want to call it. He's definitely, no doubt, one of the best. And so
one of the best jokes that is the comment I read was referee saying to Giannis, there was an early start on that second round. Giannis, there was no early start on the second round. And referee's like, there was no early start on the second round.
Mind control.
Mind control.
That's great. And so, yeah, that I'm sure that there's several moments. That's just hilarious. That's exactly a Jedi move too. That's funny. And so, if you don't mind, what is your opinion or your stance on steroids or PED use? Do you think they should be allowed? Do you think we should have, separate kind of classes, or do you think things are just fine how they are?
So for most of the part, like in arm wrestling world, we already have, but most countries it's difficult. Everyone's situation is different. So for us, we have in competition and out of competition testing here in Latvia. So a lot of guys are on Adam's system, like Sandris, Kaspars, Kristaps, Normans for past 2 years. They've been on Adam's system. Like it's like Kristaps Blumans, our junior European world champ. He like 6 a.m. they're at his door, piss test, blood test straight away.
Okay.
So for us, it's never been that issue because we are so used to doing it that we just, there's way better things to do to get stronger. You have to be smarter to get stronger, and that's our approach all the time. The problem is when we talk about absolutes, like I want to be absolutely the best and no one is stopping me and there's no doping test. Of course, the guy's going to take it and the guy's going to push the limits. I don't see a difference. Like if you would put most roided out guys on the table and you put two natural pullers, same thing is going to happen. It's just the strength level might, we look at some leagues where guys they're doing everything and the matches are boring as hell. They're not even competitive. They're so one-sided. It's ridiculous. Most of the times people are way closer in their level when they're not taking anything. So we want to talk about arm wrestling quality. Nothing will change. People are talking like this is the freak show. It's not the freak show. Like the guys will still look impressive on table. They will still have all those abilities. No one's like, talking about like how, dangerous it is or anything else. Like it's as dangerous as it has ever been, So if you are willing to put everything on the line, that's your choice. You can do whatever you want. So if I compete in WAF Worlds or European Arm Wrestling Championship, which is tested events, and you coming in and you are doing some stuff that is illegal or you're cheating, you're 110% cheating. And that's the difference. If I come into the tournament and that tournament is tested and you come in, you're cheating. If I go to tournament and I know there is no testing done, that's my choice. I can go there and I can compete. And if the guy is doing whatever they're doing, it's open because it was my choice to go there. It's a weird debate. If arm wrestling sports wants to move anywhere near Olympics or anywhere near the UFC route, we have to do doping testing. And people are talking like, Paul, you can still cheat. Yes, but it will be less. It will be less. We're not talking about, you cannot eliminate. People will always find a way. They always find the edge. More money is in the sport, bigger stakes, more you can earn. Right now, I sometimes don't understand where guys, they're just doing stuff, getting zero money back. It's kind of ridiculous, and I don't know. And there's so many myths and legends about arm wrestling and steroids. And, I have seen guys, becoming champions in almost any promotion anywhere, maybe except the super heavyweights without doing anything. I can, testify to that under oath. So everything is pretty much possible. And some people are just better than you. Some people are genetically more gifted. Some people are just more connected than you are. And everyone's like, oh, he's like this and that. And they speculate whatever they want to speculate. But there are freaks and there's always going to be freaks. But if those freaks constantly go to doping tested events and they do good and they don't get caught and they do those tests, most likely, even if they're doing something, they're not doing that much. And, so it's a weird area. I would be happy if there would be doping tests everywhere. Because I would think like arm wrestling wouldn't change anything. Not even a little. Not even a little, I know the guys that are not doing juice or, pancakes or whatever will arm wrestle longer and better. Because that is, if the guys
healthier.
are close in strength, the guy that is clean will have more endurance. He will get less pump. He will, I have seen this so many times where guy looks unstoppable until someone stops him, and then it's all over. Everything is over, you know, because that's the thing. So that's kind of my stance on it. I don't know. I went too far again.
No, you're absolutely fine. And my question was, I guess, a little bit, I wasn't aware that Latvian arm wrestling was tested. And so basically the American arm wrestling and how it's structured and how we have local tournaments, and they are like, in all honesty, if you go to a local tournament, there may not even be a certified referee there. You know, I'm not saying all the state, you know, all the states in America, they're all way better and way more organized. I'm just saying with the rate of arm wrestling growth, sometimes you even have tournaments where there's, you know, people who know how to ref, but they're not necessarily certified. And to my knowledge, I'm not sure what percentage of even the tournaments we have here in America or Canada for that matter, which one any of them are tested. And so I guess I didn't I didn't bring it into account that any international competition is probably going to be tested. But I feel like even a lot of state-run competitions here, I know they don't test or anything. And
yeah, I have heard like that USA, I forgot the federation name, but I know which is in charge. They do some doping tests in their nationals, and that's it. So for us, it's different. Like European countries, they like Norway, Sweden, there's so much doping testing. Like some countries, like you cannot go to gym and be too big, and they will just doping test you. It's kind of really? You know, it goes to different points. But for us, it's we're used to, you know, the doping control arrives, like they will take 4 guys out of the competition or 4 girls, and you know, they will, you know, whatever it is. So it's different for everyone else. If the rules apply, these rules apply to us, I would love if these rules would apply to everyone else. But I understand where people are coming from when they're pushing the limits, where they actually want to be the strongest of all time. Like, if I would have a chance to be absolutely the strongest, and I don't have to like risk anything of it, maybe I would pursue it, you know, but I'm 5'7". Clearly that is not the case for me, you know. So,
well, I mean, the really thing I can say is anybody who's 5'7", I really don't think should have any kind of problem probably beating the largest ginger from Australia. I mean, for sure. I think if you have red hair and you're from Australia, anybody, you know, 5'7" or maybe even 5'5" could pretty much beat any of them as far as I'm concerned. So at least you have that going.
I got that going. Yeah. I got that going.
Yeah. And so that's interesting about the doping control and everything. But yeah, I definitely didn't know that. And so also, let's quickly run. You do have a YouTube channel, and it's called, and I will link it in the description. And so I know that it's mainly about training and a lot of that stuff. And it's honestly, in my opinion, your YouTube channel is the arm wrestling training Bible, or close to it, that you can pretty much find, you know, a topic on anything. But what would you say briefly, week starting with table training day, if you have a set day, what do you think a work week or a workout week looks like for you in the gym?
So for me, it's like for Ryan, I trained every day, so there was no days off. So I trained today, and I'm going to train tomorrow, and I'm going to do it up until I'm leaving to Turkey. So but usually, like, most of the guys will train 3 times a week, and they will do some exercise at home as well. You know, if you want to get better, you have to put in extra work. It will be like one side pressure oriented, where it's side pressure plus the hand, and 2 training sessions where it's back pressure oriented plus pulling session. So if you can get those things in, most likely you're gonna get better. You're gonna get better. But everyone has everyone that I see is pretty high on arm wrestling rankings. They put in a lot of work. It's not just that. They have to, you pretty much have to put in 5 days a week at least for 2-3 hours, and then you will get there. A lot of guys want to do like absolutely minimum of the work, and they will go back, and it's and they get stuck on these exercises. And I think I talked with Pradeep and Aussie arm wrestler, where guys want to do 1 rep maxes for arm wrestling, and that's all they do, because they want to like, oh, this is like my competition is on table arm wrestling. It's not who can lift bigger weights, because there's a difference. Like my form, your form, the cable system.
Right.
Like I couldn't care less if I can lift more, but still lose on table. Only thing I care is winning on table, and people will get sidetracked by lifting, and they will think arm wrestling is lifting. It's not. It's arm wrestling. You know, it would be the same thing as you train in the gym for a jiu-jitsu match and you don't know jiu-jitsu. You know, it's kind of So arm wrestling training should be the main part of the things that you do. It should not be lifting for some unspecified reason where you want to beat someone for something, you know. So table practice is absolutely necessary. Like I could train less on table because I know how to arm wrestle.
Right.
Like when my arm wrestling wasn't as polished, I need to spend more time on table than with the weights. And this is where people, again, getting it kind of mixed up. They just like, I'm going to do arm wrestling specific exercises. And eventually no, you need to coordinate yourself on table. There you will expose your weaknesses. Then you will know what you actually need to work on. So one pulling session a week is I think it's kind of must, you know, for most people. More you are into the sport, less you can do. You know, like I will not forget how to arm wrestle, but I will not be as sharp. I will not be as conditioned, and I will not be as efficient if I do not arm wrestle once a week. That I know for sure. But I can arm wrestle if my arms don't hurt. I can arm wrestle every day, and I can skip gym training and jump back into the gym training. Nothing will change. So it doesn't work the opposite way. So, you know, for beginners, learn how to arm wrestle and build everything around it. Don't do other things. Don't build everything and don't know how to arm wrestle. Because I see so many guys, and it's like some guys will come from different clubs to my club and train. And so I'm like, what exactly do you try and achieve? That's always my first question. Like if they're doing some kind of exercise, like I'm like, you do not arm wrestle like that. You're never in this position on table. Like, why the fuck do you need it? You know? So be efficient where you are, and everyone's, this is the other topic, like well-rounded. You know, it's great to have a hook and top roll, but I would give everything to have one great move than 20 shitty moves. So if you can do one thing good, then you can slowly add to another thing, you know, but it should help the first thing. And that's how you see many great arm wrestlers. Like Giannis will not go in a hook when it's absolutely necessary to go in a hook. He will stay away. He will do everything to top roll you. Like you will never see Giannis just, you know, let's go. No, never, for close to 30 years, never. So there's lessons in most arm wrestlers. Even John can top roll, but okay, his top roll and hook is kind of similar. It's back pressure oriented. He very rarely goes like fully in. He kind of stays out. So you build one thing and then you can add the other one. And the guys are like, today I'm just going to pull in a hook, then I'm going to pull in top roll, and comes competition day, you just lost 2 times. You know, so
I have noticed that too, and I've been actually technically watching John's hook more and try to see how he doesn't like keep coming in with supination. Once he gets his wrist bent a little bit, he comes back into your pinky again. You know, it's almost like you're in the hook, but he's like all the way out on your pinky and everything. And it's technically smart because that is the weakest, whether you're top rolling or hooking. If you go through the pinky, I would say that's where people are going to lose their power and rotation. But
John is very special. When I gripped up with John first time, I was like, oh, so this is John Berzank. So like, I was like, what is the thing that is making John the John? And it is his hand control for sure. Like he has a lot of different aspects. The thing that he does with the hand, how he disengages you, it's the weirdest thing I have ever felt. Like it's so weird, especially it was like 2019 we gripped up, and he was still not active. He was still retired, you know. And
was this in his backyard?
Yes.
Okay.
And he was pulling like without the strap he was feeling terrible. In the strap he was feeling human, and because of his shoulder problem and everything else. And I remember the stake, like he first of all, like he turns your palm like your pronator, and then he drags you in, and you all the time you start like this. Like, the hell, he just does one move, and it's ridiculous. And that's John. Everyone has their different things, and lean into your strengths as much as you can. Don't think about, like, a lot of people try to copy other people, and most of the time it will not work. You are you. You should be however you are. Yeah, that's my advice. I test guys on table, and we will find your strongest point, and we'll build everything around that strongest point. Because if you're trying to mimic someone else, it will not work. It doesn't work. Everyone's built differently, and everyone's different. So this is why we have some special arm wrestlers on the planet, and those are the elite of the elite.
And just to back, I'm going to back what you just said up one time. And by saying that, you said that ever since you met Giannis, since like 2008 or whenever, that you and him have been mentally absolutely on the same wavelength. But if you look, you guys have two opposite pulling styles. So that just goes to show that you guys have the same approach to growing arm wrestling, to teaching people, but you guys don't have the same approach to actually arm wrestling, because you're two different people,
Oh yeah.
And so
and like, funny enough, I don't teach anyone to pull in a hook. Most of my guys will pull either top roll or high hook. So no one does it like I do it. The press, we have some pressers coming in Latvia that are kind of dominating. I kind of started with the press, and some guys like, okay, I can do this. So we worked on how to make it efficiently, and like Vlad can press like crazy good. But I remember at the start, I wanted to be honest. I was like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to, I have zero of those strengths. I have zero. You need ridiculously strong fingers, ridiculously good back pressure, and pronator. I had zero of those. I have the opposite thing. So for me, it kind of took some time until I'm like, okay, just lean into what you're good at. And I leaned in. With left, it's different, because I didn't lean into being a top roller that I am now. It just kind of happened because of injuries. But my left top roll is better than my press has ever been. So it's kind of weird one, But,
that is interesting.
Took a lot of time.
So you've spoke on this just a little bit, and I guess we're getting ready to we're getting close to winding it up here. But you spoke on it earlier. What are some goals that you've had as once you started beginning to take arm wrestling seriously, that you've actually maybe accomplished, or if you have any arm wrestling goals that you're still working towards, what are those?
So I didn't, like, my goals were always community oriented. It wasn't like I had zero, like, I wanted to be national champion. Like, okay, I got that, like, in, I don't know, 2013, 14, something like that. I became national champion. But for me, it was like, okay, I want to have a world champion. I want to bring in a world champion, and Vlad junior, youth, and world senior world champion. Okay, I did that. I wanted him to transition to seniors and be competitive after juniors. We did that. Okay, so I wanted #1 team in Latvia. We've been dominating for 5 years. Before that, it was Giannis' team. So me and Giannis were not on the same team. We have two different teams. Yeah, so I started my team, Legacy. Giannis has Koka Roka, and that was one. I wanted Latvian arm wrestlers to be recognized. I wanted Latvian level to be good. I wanted my refereeing to be on the highest point. We travel all over the world. We're invited to competitions as referees. We have good. So those were kind of my goals, that I wanted, and none of them kind of involved me to be, now. Like, I know the level, and I thought that at one point I'm like, these guys are so far ahead of me. I will most likely never become WAF world or European champion, or even get a podium. And for past 2 years, because of COVID, I had the chance to work on myself and figure some things out, and understand how better put my resources where I need them. And that's where, whatever you have seen in last 2 years, that's what happened, because I've been pretty awesome. I've been pretty.
Once you started hitting the arm war scene, and you've been hitting, I know you were at the first King of the Table, and I know you've been kind of a little bit like you've been hot. You're like, they call me Coach Ray, but I'm competing now. You know, I'm
Yeah.
not saying you weren't before, but it didn't seem
Yeah.
like you were investing in yourself quite a bit, and it was paying off for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
You haven't
Yeah.
lost the endurance game yet. I mean, you may not be winning right off the bat, but what you did to the Indian guy in King of the Table 1, you literally just came back from nowhere and put it on him. And so that's what everybody wants to see. You can't have good endurance and not put the work in. It just don't work like that.
Yeah, like I said, like you lean into your strengths. And I had this huge, I was so afraid of losing. I can't explain. Like my biggest, like I don't want to get on table and someone takes my hand, because that's the biggest fear. So sometimes I lost the matches by staying, you know, not letting my arm be taken and things like that. And I was afraid of having a long match. And I think somewhere in Mazda here, I was like, dude, I'm always got a great endurance. Like it's always been a thing. I'm also really strong, but when I train for hours on table, you like Devon is not the most explosive guy for a reason. So I was like, okay, well, maybe, but then I found it and I was like, okay, if I can drag you in the mud with me, I'm gonna come out clean and you're not. So
Yeah.
You look at some of those Arm Wars matches in Mazda, like almost every match except with Frode, because Frode has way more endurance than I have for sure. There's a point in a match where I look better when I started, and the guy looks like he's like, I'm on the 5th floor right now, and he's on a basement, you know.
Yeah.
So it looks like that. So with Ryan, if I can get him there, he's gonna be terrible. But also I feel I'm way more explosive now and way stronger than he realizes it. So yeah,
That's great. Well, I'll tell you what, I feel like we've had a pretty good talk here so far, and I've enjoyed it, but I think I'm gonna let you go for this time. And I get a lot of good information and everything, but with a free account with Zoom, it only allows you 40-minute videos, and so it just came up.
No problem, buddy. It was fun. It's good that I saw your message. I wish you good luck on this journey, you know, whatever you're doing, and
yeah,
you need some help or you want to talk sometime again, just let me know.
Yeah, and also, hey, I would be interested in talking to any of the Latvian guys. I've been trying to get a hold of Raimonds Liepins, and if that's how you say his last name, or yes, whoever. Basically, I'm just interviewing any arm wrestlers. They don't have to be super elite, just anybody who's been in the sport who's got something to say. And so anyways, I've appreciated all your knowledge and answering all these questions. And I'm gonna, considering I'm not from Australia, I'm gonna be pulling for you on 600%.
That's right. Hey, so, even if you would be from Australia, every Australian's like, please, Ray, please.
Yeah, exactly. Hashtag F Bowen.
Bowen. So, I was watching powerlifting before we came on. Like there was USA Open or something, and I follow powerlifting. And I'm just looking at the chat. In the middle of a chat, someone's like, hashtag F Bowen. I'm like, yeah, how do they know? I didn't write anything. I'm like, how do they know? So
yeah. Thank you, Jordan Davis. I think he's the one.
Yes. Do it for the Bowen. Okay, man.
Well, all right,
it was a pleasure
Ray.
talking with you.
Yep, you too, my friend. Hit me with a flex one time for the camera. There you go. Bam. All right, big dog. Talk to you later.
Love arm wrestling.
Okay, you